The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
What an incredible waste of everyone's time. What a terrible, sad, awkward, uncomfortable event that Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul was tonight. I'm doing this, I'm recording this with you as the in-ring arena interviews are going on right now, and Ariel Helwani, who is a absolute gem and a Canadian, so he has a soft spot in my heart, is trying to save whatever morsel of entertainment is left in this piece of garbage of a night of boxing. And there's two things we got to do here right now. We got to talk about Netflix being awful at live events. I don't know why they can't get this together. And then two, we need to talk about the fight itself. So I want to start with Netflix and how they can't get live streaming together. This isn't the first time they've done a major live stream event. They had the Love is Blind reunion episode go up as a live event. Everybody could watch it live as it unfolded. That suffered from terrible buffering issues, just like tonight's fight, massive delays, and the production overall not great. So you think like, okay, that's a huge event. Everybody's trying to tune in. It's crashing for everybody. By the time we get to an event like this, where the world is watching again, they're going to be able to fix it, because in that time, they've also had a event where they had F1 drivers against golfers, and they all golfed in Vegas, and it was a big thing. They had Carlos Alcaraz against Rafael Nadal as a live stream, and that was a big thing. But even those were marred with time issues. They were marred with buffering issues. The Tom Brady roast, even the Tom Brady roast suffered from poor production. Netflix is never able to get, whenever there's a mass event that everybody has to watch live, even though Amazon can figure it out, NBC can figure it out with the Olympics when it was at the Olympics, YouTube can figure it out. All of these tech companies can figure this out, and yet Netflix, our biggest streaming service, can't get it together. It doesn't make sense. And then on top of that, Netflix always hires the worst commentators. The absolute, Ariel Helwani aside, the worst commentators to do everything. I don't know if any single person on this entire 4-hour and 50-minute live stream or whatever it was tonight said a thing that was interesting. And then to cap it all off, Roy Jones Jr. was the worst of the worst. And he was in charge of doing the play-by-play, it's boxing, during the main event. And Roy Jones Jr., he's taken a lot of hits to the head. And I don't want to be disrespectful to him, but he should not be in front of a microphone. He spent the entire match saying two things. He doesn't like Mike Tyson's legs. He had that in his head that he wanted to say it. And then he started talking about Mike Tyson biting his mouth guard. And then the guy next to him tried to explain, yeah, Mike Tyson's been doing that for 40 years. That's how he boxes. He chews on his mouth guard. Stop saying it, Roy Jones. So that was awful. And Netflix can't ever hire the best talent. Most of the top talent is locked away in TV contracts. Like they're at ESPN, they're at FS1, they're at Fox, they're at CBS, NBC, ABC, all these places. So Netflix has never really invested in the talent for these live streams. They've always gone to like, hey, okay, we have these one-off events. Who can we get on contract that isn't locked down with one of these networks? And they always get the dregs. They always get people who are not interesting. The entire event wasn't interesting. It wasn't entertaining. There was nothing about it that felt like a spectacle. It didn't feel big time, even though it was on this massive stage and we were all tuned in. Even though it was big time, Netflix can't make these productions big time. And to cap just this part off, they have deals with the WWE and NFL. On Christmas Day, the biggest sport in North America, football, the National Football League is going to be broadcasting on Christmas Day. And the only place you can watch this game is on Netflix. They have about a month and change to figure this out. Because if that goes wrong, they're seriously in trouble. At least this thing is a sideshow. At least this thing doesn't really count. Football counts. I'm sorry. Football really matters, and they better get that together. WWE should also be very concerned. Soon all of their programming is going to Netflix, and you'll be able to watch Raw and SmackDown and everything on Netflix. They better figure this out by the time that rolls around, because WWE won't be happy about this. Many people weren't able to watch tonight. My watching experience was that I had to watch it on my phone, because on my TV, the Netflix stream wouldn't open. On my laptop, it wouldn't open, but on my phone, it worked. So I had to watch it from my phone because it's the only place it worked for me tonight. Ridiculous. To the match itself, I felt uncomfortable watching that entire 25 minutes. It blew by. It was awful. It was like a kid beating up his dad. Mike Tyson is clearly 58, and Jake Paul is clearly 27, and they should not be fighting each other. The whole thing felt like Jake Paul was going easy on Mike Tyson, because Jake Paul is a master at knowing the narrative, playing the heel, being the bad guy, and he knows that there's no win here to knock out Mike Tyson. He doesn't need to knock out this nearly 60-year-old man. He just needs to go the distance, win it with the judges, and that's it. So it felt like Jake Paul just standing in there, having some practice, and Tyson's in there trying his best, but he's old. Tyson was big 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Like, he won his first heavyweight championship when he was 20. And he's 58 now. That's 38 years ago. He doesn't have it. And he didn't have it at the end of his boxing career. It's not like Mike Tyson went out on top. Mike Tyson went out at the bottom of the barrel in boxing, and he lost. So to expect this man to get in a ring and us to have any type of entertainment to watch tonight was ridiculous, and it didn't deliver, and it was an awful waste of everybody's time. But they filled up AT&T Stadium, Jerry's World. They got all of us watching a terribly buffered stream, and that's all that matters at the end of the day, is that they had clicks, they had a stadium full of people, they had all the bets or whatever, and they got a bunch of paydays, and they sold all the ads and all that nonsense, and that's what matters. But in terms of the sport and the competition and the entertainment, 0 out of 10 across the boards. Wow, what an awful evening for boxing. What an awful evening for Netflix. What an awful evening for the legacy of Mike Tyson. And Jake Paul is probably very happy with how everything went, because his stock is only going to go up, because that's what seems to happen with the Paul brothers. So kudos to him, I guess. That's it. That is it for me tonight. Thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere in the world, shows you watching or listening to this right now, and I appreciate you for that. Good night from Toronto.
And that is how it's done.
The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
Jesse Blake, the guy that likes to hear his name twice in one sentence. Sure, I know him. No, he doesn't have an ego at all.